Is that how you talk to cop, boy? Or do they not teach English in the hood? Officer Rourke sneered, his hands still resting on his gun. Malik froze, backpack slung over one shoulder, phone in one hand, keys in the other. His voice stayed low, steady. Sir, this is my driveway. That's my mom's car. I just came out to grab her purse. Rourke stepped closer, close enough that Malik could see the thin scar above his left brow. That's what you're going with. Malik didn't move. She left it when she went inside. I live here. Behind him, the police cruiser's lights still flashed red and blue, bouncing off windows and faces that peeked from behind blinds across the street. The siren had long stopped, but its echo still rang inside Malik's head. Turn around. Hands on the hood, Rourke ordered. I didn't do anything, Malik said, his voice firmer this time. The keys are in my hand. You can run the plate. Another officer stood off to the side, younger, quieter, looking anywhere but directly at Malik. Rourke yanked Malik's backpack from his shoulder and dropped it to the ground. Books scattered, AP Government, Algebra 2, a spiral notebook with a sticker that read Future Howard University grad. Let's see what kind of honors student we got here, Rourke mocked, kicking one book aside with his boot. You're 17? Look older. Bigger. Could have fooled me. Malik looked at the quiet officer. Can you just call the plate in? The officer didn't respond. Hands on the hood. Rourke growled again, this time stepping closer, crowding Malik's space. I'm not resisting, Malik said. This is my house. You don't tell me what's yours, Rourke snapped. You don't give me orders. You don't correct me. You answer when spoken to. Like a man. Or are you just another punk with a mouth full of attitude? The words stung more than the volume. It wasn't just about control. It was about stripping Malik of his dignity, his voice, his humanity. Please don't touch me, Malik said, swallowing hard. My mom is inside. She'll be right out. Call her, Rourke smirked. Maybe she can teach you manners. Malik hesitated. His phone was still recording, screen dimmed but on. He kept the camera aimed toward Rourke's chest. He prayed it stayed steady enough to catch everything. Behind them, the house door slammed open. Malik! His mother's voice cut through the night. She was barefoot, hair wrapped in a scarf, hands trembling as she ran toward them. He's my son. What are you doing? Rourke didn't even turn. He threw out one hand and shoved her back. Stay there, ma'am. This doesn't concern you. Don't you touch her, Malik shouted, lunging forward. That was all Rourke needed. He slammed Malik against the car hood. That's resisting. Malik's cheek hit metal. The cold burned into his skin. His mother screamed. The younger officer finally stepped forward but stopped short, eyes wide. You're hurting him, she cried. He didn't do anything. I said stay back. Rourke barked. I will arrest you too. The cuffs snapped tight around Malik's wrists. One of them pinched so hard he yelped. His mother tried to run toward him again, but was blocked by the second officer. I didn't do anything, Malik gasped, struggling to breathe as Rourke pushed his knee into his back. You did enough, Rourke hissed in his ear. And tomorrow, you'll thank me for not shooting. Tears pooled in Malik's eyes, but he refused to let them fall. Not in front of this man. Not in front of his mother. His phone had fallen to the ground. But before it slipped from his hand, he double-tapped the side. The video uploaded to the cloud. To one person, his father. Inside the squad car, Malik sat in silence, wrists aching. His mother's sobs faded as the door shut. She tried to reach in, but the car pulled away before she could touch him. Rourke sat in the front seat, laughing with the other cop. You believe that kid? Acting like he's some model student, Rourke said. Every one of them says the same thing. The younger cop finally spoke. Maybe he was telling the truth. The plate came back to a Denise Bell at that address. Rourke shrugged. Yeah, well, he matched the call description. Black hoodie. That's all I need. Besides, little tough guy learned a lesson. Malik stared at the reflection of the red and blue lights in the glass. He didn't say a word. He didn't ask why. He already knew. He knew this wasn't about the car, or the house, or the hoodie. This was about who he was, about the color of his skin. They didn't see an honors student. They didn't see a son. They saw a threat. At the station, they didn't fingerprint him. They didn't even ask questions. They sat him in a room for hours. No one came. The cuffs were finally off, but the sting in his wrist stayed. He counted the ceiling tiles to stay calm. 52. He recited the Constitution in his head to keep from breaking. He thought about his dad. Marcus Bell was the calmest man Malik knew. He never raised his voice, never got emotional. But when something was wrong, truly wrong, his eyes did all the speaking. Malik knew what those eyes would look like when he saw this video, and he would see it soon. Meanwhile, Marcus Bell was pacing his office when the alert pinged. New upload from Malik_Bell. Video 042. Title: Unlawful Police Stop, 3rd and Auburn. He tapped the screen. As the footage played, his fingers gripped the edge of his desk. By the time it ended, he was already dialing his car service. He didn't slam doors. He didn't curse. He didn't even tell his assistant where he was going. He just said, "My son's been arrested. Clear my calendar." Back at the station, Rourke leaned against the hallway wall, arms crossed, sipping coffee. "He'll walk," he said. "No record." Slap on the wrist. The younger cop hesitated. "You didn't have to push his mom." That was... Rourke cut him off. "You think Internal Affairs is going to care? I've been doing this 20 years. They know the drill. Write it up, clean it up." He chuckled. "Besides, what's a high school kid going to do? Cry to his principal?" The door opened behind him. The room got cold. Marcus Bell stepped inside, his voice like iron. "He's going to cry to his lawyer," he said, "who happens to be his father." Rourke turned, stunned. "Who the hell are you?" Marcus walked right up to him, face unreadable. "I'm the man you'll be answering to. I say we charge him with resisting trespassing and, hell, throwing disorderly. That'll teach his kind to keep quiet." Officer Rourke laughed, his voice echoing in the hallway of the precinct. His partner, Officer Diaz, didn't laugh. He just stared at the vending machine like the chips were more important than the kid locked inside. Inside the tiny interrogation room, Malik sat with his arms crossed, the fluorescent light above bust. His left wrist was swollen, pinched from the cuffs. The cut on his cheek was dry now, but his pride still bled. He hadn't spoken in over 2 hours. Not when they asked his name again, not when they offered a sandwich, not when the fingerprint scanner jammed. He just sat there, jaw clenched. He wasn't being stubborn. He was waiting for him. Across the city, Marcus Bell stood in his office, phone gripped tight in his hand. "I have to go," he said, interrupting a judge mid-sentence. "That's my son." He didn't grab his coat, didn't check the time, just walked out of his office, eyes locked straight ahead. His driver barely got the words out. "Where to, sir?" Before Marcus replied. "Precinct 12. Don't speak. Just drive." Back at the station, Rourke leaned against the wall like he had all day to waste. "Kid's got a smart mouth. Thinks just 'cause he lives in a 2-story house, he's special," he said to Diaz. Diaz shifted. He didn't resist, though. "You know that." Rourke scoffed. "He lunged. You saw it." Diaz hesitated. "He lunged because you pushed his mom. You saying I lied?" "I'm saying maybe we cool it. Wait for the report." But it was too late for cooling it, because just then the front door opened, and the air shifted. Marcus Bell didn't walk in. He entered, wearing a Navy suit, calm face, no badge, but every officer in the room sat a little straighter. The desk sergeant blinked. "Can I help you?" "I'm here for Malik Bell," Marcus said. "My son. You put your hands on him. Open the door." "Sir, we're still processing." Marcus leaned forward, voice like stone. "Then process faster." "Who are you exactly?" came a voice from the side. Rourke, standing with that same smug lean, coffee in hand. Marcus turned. "I'm the man who's going to own this building by morning. And when I do, you'll be lucky to work traffic in a school zone." He didn't raise his voice. He didn't have to. "Now," Marcus said, "open the damn door." When the door to the interrogation room opened, Malik's head snapped up, and for the first time since his arrest, his face cracked. "Dad," he started, voice breaking. "I saw everything, son." Marcus stepped forward and hugged him tight. Just once. Firm. Silent. and so will the judge. They walked out together. The precinct went still. Even Diaz didn't move. As they passed, Rourke muttered under his breath, "Figures. Daddy's a lawyer." Raised another loudmouth. Marcus stopped, turned. "Loudmouths built this country," he said. "But it's always men like you who try to tear it down." Rourke didn't reply. He didn't need to. The silence said everything. The next morning, the courthouse overflowed. Reporters packed the steps. Civil rights lawyers, activists, parents, teachers, even Malik's guidance counselor stood shoulder to shoulder in the gallery. Some came for justice. Some came for blood. All came to witness. Inside the courtroom, Malik sat next to his father, wearing his only suit. His hands were folded tight in his lap. His left wrist was still bruised. His pride wasn't. Marcus stood before the judge. Calm, sharp, voice low and even. "Your Honor," he said, "before we begin, I'd like to submit this into evidence." Video taken by the defendant moments before his arrest. The judge, an older white man with tired eyes, nodded. "Proceed." The screen lit up. Malik's phone video played. No fancy angles. Just his chest. His words. "This is my house. My mom's car." Rourke's voice followed. "That's what you're going with." "Then, turn around. Hands on the hood." "Then, I will arrest you too, ma'am." Then finally, the words that froze the entire room. "Speak English, boy." Gasps filled the room. The DA, previously prepared to offer a plea deal, closed her folder slowly. The judge sat back, eyes narrow. Marcus didn't smile. He didn't nod. He simply turned and said, "My client is 17. An honors student. No criminal record. Arrested outside his own home. For fitting a description." The judge cleared his throat. "Mr. Bell," Marcus cut in, "we don't want a deal. We want accountability." He pointed at Rourke, seated at the back of the room, still in uniform. "And we want him off the street before he kills a boy who doesn't have a lawyer for a father." Rourke was called to testify. He walked up like he was still in control. Sat like the badge made him untouchable. The courtroom leaned in. "Officer Rourke," Marcus said, "did my son threaten you?" "No." "Did he resist?" Rourke shifted. "He was verbally aggressive." "Did he lay a hand on you?" "No." "Did he have a weapon?" "No." "Then why was he on the ground with a knee in his back?" Silence. Rourke looked to the DA. But the DA didn't help him. She stared at the floor. "I felt threatened," Rourke said finally. "By a 17-year-old boy carrying a backpack and house keys? He lunged at me. After you shoved his mother." "I did not shove." "Play the video again." The screen blinked on. The shove was clear. Her body stumbled. Her cry echoed. Rourke's jaw twitched. The room waited. "Why did you say speak English, boy?" "I don't recall saying that." "It's on video." "Maybe I meant," he was mumbling. "No," Marcus said, stepping forward. "You said it because you didn't see a young man. You saw a threat. You saw color. You saw someone you thought no one would fight for." He let the silence sit heavy. Then he said quietly, "But you were wrong." By noon, the courtroom had turned. Malik's charges were dropped. The judge ordered a full investigation. Reporters outside scrambled to update headlines. Phones buzzed. Live streams boomed. Inside the hallway, Rourke stood alone. His badge felt heavier now. So did his silence. That night, Malik sat on his front porch with his dad. No cameras. No reporters. "Just about I didn't think I was going to cry," Malik said. "But when you walked in, I almost did." Marcus smiled softly. "You didn't have to cry, son. You stood your ground. You waited." "But it still hurts," Malik said, rubbing his wrist. "Like I did everything right and still ended up in cuffs." Marcus nodded. "That's the part they don't teach you. You could do everything right and still be punished for being black in America." Malik looked up. "So what do I do? Stay quiet?" "No," Marcus said firmly. "You do what you did today. You speak. You record. You survive. And one day, you help the next kid standing where you stood." 3 days later, Officer Rourke was suspended without pay. Body cam footage was released. Marcus filed a civil suit for unlawful arrest and excessive force. And Malik? Malik walked into school with his head high. The same hallways, the same lockers. But whispers followed him now. Not whispers of pity, whispers of power. I don't care if your daddy's a lawyer. You were rude, you were suspicious, and you matched the description, Rourke yelled across the courtroom. A sharp silence followed, broken only by the sound of a pen dropping somewhere in the gallery. The judge didn't bang the gavel. She didn't need to. The tension in the room was heavier than wood. Malik stood up. He hadn't meant to. His legs just moved. Maybe it was adrenaline. Maybe it was anger. Maybe it was the ache in his chest that had started that night and hadn't gone away. My name is Malik Bell, he said, voice steady but thick. I'm 17. I've never even had detention. I was getting my mom's purse from the car. That's all. The courtroom listened. I wasn't loud. I didn't run. I didn't do anything wrong. But he pulled a gun before I said a word. He called me boy. He shoved my mom. The judge finally looked up. Her eyes were cold but curious. She hadn't expected this. No one had. I didn't match the description, Malik continued, looking directly at Officer Rourke. You said the suspect had tattoos. I don't have any. You said he had dreadlocks. I've got a fade. You said he was 6 feet tall. I'm 5'8". Rourke's lawyer whispered something, but he didn't listen. Rourke's jaw clenched. He stared at Malik like he wanted to scream again. My mom was crying, Malik said softly. You pushed her. Hard. Her wrist is still in a brace. You said she was interfering. She was asking why you had a gun in my face. Rourke muttered under his breath, dramatic. That was when Marcus Bell stood up, calmly, like the storm he had decided to rise. Your Honor, Marcus said, we're not here because we want media attention. We're here because what happened to my son happens every single day to children who don't have a lawyer for a father. There was a ripple through the courtroom. One juror looked away. Another leaned forward. The prosecutor, a young woman with tight hair and nervous fingers, stood. Mr. Bell, while we understand your passion, this isn't a political platform. Marcus cut in. It became political the second Officer Rourke wrote a false report. When his body cam was accidentally off. When my son was treated like a criminal before anyone knew his name. The judge raised a brow, but she didn't interrupt. Malik pulled something from his blazer pocket. His Honor Society medal. He walked slowly to the table, his sneakers quiet on the cold floor. He placed the medal down. I didn't get this by being angry, he said. I got it by being better than people expected me to be. Even now, a woman in the gallery whispered, God bless him. A man sniffled. One juror blinked rapidly, visibly shaken. Rourke rolled his eyes. You're just a kid. Malik turned to him. You're a cop, one with power. But that night, I had more courage than you. Marcus stepped forward, placing a steady hand on his son's shoulder. Your Honor, we motion to press charges against Officer Rourke for assault, false arrest, and obstruction. This isn't just about Malik. It's about justice for every black child who walks home scared. The room froze. The moment sat in the air like a hell breath. Rourke's smirk disappeared. Finally, the judge leaned back in her chair. Officer Rourke, did you have your body cam on during the incident? No, Your Honor. Why not? He shifted. It was malfunctioning. Was it tested? Yes. Do you have that report? His lawyer stood. Your Honor, we request a recess to provide documentation. I'm not asking you. I'm asking your client. Rourke hesitated. Then, I don't have it with me. The judge nodded. Convenient. Gasps whispered through the crowd. One juror shook his head slowly. Marcus cleared his throat. We've already submitted footage from a neighbor's Ring camera. It caught the whole thing. You were yelling, Malik said, looking directly at Rourke. Cursing. Pointing your gun like I wasn't a person. Like I was prey. I had to take control of the situation, Rourke muttered. Malik's voice shook now, but he didn't stop. You made me lay on the ground. Face down. On the sidewalk. People were watching. I wasn't scared of the gun. I was scared I'd never stand up again. The judge looked at him, then slowly turned to the jury. The video began to play. The courtroom turned to the screen. There was no sound at first, just the visual. Malik walking calmly to the car. Then the cruiser pulling up. Then Officer Rourke jumping out, gun already drawn. The audience leaned forward. Rourke yelled something. They could see it in his mouth, though the video had no sound. Then he shoved Layla Bell, Malik's mother, aside. The gavel hit the desk. Pause it. The judge stared at the screen. Officer Rourke, she said slowly, are you telling this court that what we just saw is standard protocol? I believed he matched the description. Did you ask his name? No, Your Honor. Did you read him his rights? No, Your Honor. Did you document that you physically shoved his mother? No, Your Honor. The silence now was painful, humbling. You put your hands on a civilian. You brandished your weapon at an unarmed minor. You failed to activate your camera. And you falsified your report. Tell me, officer, who trained you? Rourke said nothing. His lawyer whispered again, but this time Rourke just stared ahead, pale and quiet. Marcus stepped forward. Every day, black families teach their children how to survive. Not live, not thrive, just survive. We tell them how to keep their hands visible, how not to move too fast, how to keep their voices calm even when they're scared. He turned to the jury. My son did everything right. And still, he was almost another hashtag. The courtroom was dead silent. Then a sniffle, then another. Malik finally sat down. His hands trembled beneath the table, but he didn't let them see it. The judge turned to the prosecution. Do you wish to continue defending this officer? The prosecutor stood, hesitant. She looked at the footage again. At Malik. At Marcus. Then down at her notes. No, Your Honor. The state withdraws our support. Marcus closed his eyes for a moment. Rourke's lawyer whispered again. This time, the officer looked like he might be sick. The judge spoke slowly, clearly. Officer Rourke, this court finds sufficient cause to move forward with charges of assault, false arrest, and obstruction. You are hereby suspended from duty pending further criminal proceedings. Gasped again, but this time they felt like relief. Malik looked down at his Honor Society medal. He didn't smile. He wasn't celebrating. He was just breathing. Outside the courtroom, people began gathering. Reporters, neighbors, activists. But inside it was still quiet. Marcus looked at his son. You did good, he whispered. Malik nodded. I just wanted to be seen, he said. You were. I thought this would all blow over, Rourke whispered to his lawyer. Now they're chanting my name in the streets like I'm a monster. The lawyer didn't respond. He didn't need to. The crowd outside said it all. Signs lined the courthouse steps like a forest of truth. Justice for Malik. Our kids deserve better. I am not a suspect. I'm a child. The air was thick with chants and camera shutters. Parents held their children tighter. Young black boys wore suits like armor. Women wiped tears under sunglasses. Reporters leaned into microphones, trying to catch every moment. Rourke pulled his coat over his head and kept walking. The same courtroom that once ignored Malik's pain was now filled with people who could no longer look away. Journalists filled the back rows. Law students scribbled notes. A group of off-duty officers sat stone-faced in the corner. Inside, Malik stood up from the bench. His blazer hung a little looser. His voice was deeper than it had been weeks ago. Trauma had grown him up too fast. The judge looked at him gently. Malik, I know you've already testified, but I'd like to ask you something personally. He nodded. What do you want from this trial? The room fell silent. Even Rourke looked up. Malik's hands didn't shake. His voice didn't crack. I want to go outside without fear, he said. I want to walk to school and not wonder if today's the day someone mistakes my skin for a threat. I want to be seen as a student, a son, not a suspect. The judge swallowed. A juror wiped her cheek. Malik continued. I don't want anyone else to go through what I did. I want police officers to stop making fear an excuse. I want the rules to apply to everyone, not just people who look like me. Rourke flinched. I didn't come here to destroy anyone, Malik added. I came here to stop a cycle. And if this court can't see that, then maybe it's not justice I should be afraid of. Maybe it's the people who speak for it. Marcus watched his son from the second row. His heart was heavy, proud, and broken all at once. The judge took a breath. Thank you, Malik. The jury filed out. Deliberations began. An hour passed. 2. Outside, the chants didn't stop. Inside, Malik sat beside his father, gripping the edges of his seat. Whatever happens, Marcus whispered, you've already changed something. Malik stared at the courtroom doors. What if it's not enough? It's a beginning. The bailiff entered. Verdicts in. Everyone stood. The jury forewoman held a paper in shaking hands. The courtroom was breathless. In a matter of people versus Officer Jason Rourke, she began, On the charge of assault against a minor, guilty. Gasps. On the charge of obstruction of justice, guilty. A reporter's pen stopped mid-sentence. On the charge of misconduct in public office, guilty. Malik closed his eyes. Rourke didn't. He sat frozen. His jaw clenched. His lawyer didn't move. The judge nodded. Mr. Rourke, you are hereby stripped of your badge and all police privileges. You will serve 18 months of probation, complete 1,000 hours of community service in underserved neighborhoods, and attend court-ordered bias and de-escalation training. You will never serve as an officer again. Cheers erupted from outside. Inside, the courtroom trembled with a quiet sense of history. But Marcus Bell stood up slowly. Your Honor, he said, voice calm but firm. May I speak once more? The judge nodded. Marcus turned toward the courtroom. Not just the judge, not the jury, but all of them. The lawyers, the cops, the media, the world watching on screens. This wasn't about revenge, he said. It was about recognition. This courtroom saw what we already knew, that our children are worth protecting, not profiling. That uniforms don't make you a hero. Character does. He turned to Rourke, his voice tightening. And you had a chance. You could have apologized. You could have admitted the fear you felt wasn't about anything Malik did, but about who he was. And maybe if you had, this courtroom would have felt less like a battleground. Rourke finally looked up. His face was pale. Hello. Marcus looked away. When the courtroom dismissed, reporters rushed to the steps. Malik walked out slowly beside his father. The sun was brighter than he remembered, maybe because he hadn't felt free in weeks. The crowd went still as they saw him. A reporter leaned in. Malik, how does it feel to win? He paused. This wasn't a win, he said quietly. It was a step. Another asked, do you forgive Officer Rourke? Malik took his time. Forgiveness isn't mine to give, he said. He didn't hurt just me. He hurt everyone who looks like me. Everyone who walks with fear. I don't want revenge. I want change. Accountability matters. And today we got some. Marcus placed a hand on his son's shoulder. We're not done yet, he said softly. But this is a start. The crowd clapped. Tears rolled down cheeks. A woman holding a baby sobbed into her scarf. A teenage boy held up a drawing of Malik in a superhero cape. And behind them, inside the courthouse, Rourke sat on the bench alone. No badge, no weapon, no uniform to hide behind. Just a man, and a name that would never be remembered the way he once hoped. He didn't cry. He didn't shout. But in the silence, he looked smaller than ever. The courtroom emptied. The hallway echoed with shoes and joy and disbelief. But Rourke remained in that chair, staring at the floor. Outside, Malik's phone buzzed. A message from his school principal. Proud of you. The Honor Society is naming a scholarship after you. The Malik Bell Leadership Award. He looked at his dad. Marcus smiled. Let's go home, Malik said. They walked toward the car as the crowd parted. Not because they were famous, but because they were finally seen.